Have you ever considered starting your book from the end? Ask yourself these 7 questions to turn your book writing process a little bit upside down and see if it helps you write a better, stronger book. I want you to grab a notebook or a piece of paper and start taking some notes because this will really help you plan your book. Starting with the end can allow you to figure out what you want to write about before you actually start writing. You don't need to know the ending scene of your book, more of the big picture, because when you understand the big picture, you know how to put the smaller pieces into place. Let's get right into the 7 questions you can ask to help you start your book from the end. Question number 1. What lesson do you want your character to learn before the end of the book? We see this at play in a show like Lost, where the writers said they planned the whole thing out before they started the first episode. Each of those characters in Lost had a different lesson to learn before they could get to whatever that controversial ending was. What does your character need to learn? Do they need to learn to forgive themselves or others? Do they need to learn to be more accommodating? Do they need to learn that their quest for revenge is destroying them? Do they need to learn to love other people? Do they need to learn to be selfless? Whatever lesson you want them to learn, write that at the top of your piece of paper. The second question helps you set up a lot of the scene. What does my character need to go through in order to learn this lesson? For instance, if you have a character who has to learn how to be selfless, you could possibly put them in abject poverty. Take everything away from them. If you have a character that has to learn to give up his quest for revenge, you could teach him that the person that he wants vengeance against is actually a human being too that had their own reasons for doing what they're doing. Give your character trials and tests that will get them from where they are today to where you want them to be at the end. Make a list of 4 or 5 of those. Look at Shrek. The number 1 lesson he had to learn was to be vulnerable and to trust other people, to basically let people into his space and his heart. And if you look at all of the adventures that he went through with Donkey and with Princess Fiona, each of those moments brought him an opportunity to learn and grow. He didn't always, not until the end of the movie, because otherwise the movie would be over a lot sooner than it was. These moments are there to give your character opportunities to grow into the person they're meant to be. Question number 3. How will they fail in their quest? And fail, and fail, and fail. Failure is what teaches your character. Failure is what teaches your kids. As hard as it is to watch them fail, you have to make your character fail. You basically have to love them enough to let them fall on their face. You can even use this technique in a comedy. Take a show like Everybody Loves Raymond. Most of the episodes, Raymond fails at something, and he has to learn a lesson in order to resolve whatever that problem is, and hopefully learn it within 30 minutes. Make a list of 3 opportunities for your character to fail at learning that lesson in your novel. So again, if you want the character to learn to be selfless, give them 3 opportunities where they actually choose themselves over another person, and write down what the ramifications could be from that. Let's say that they hop in a cab, leaving a little old lady stranded in the rain. Maybe that little old lady was the person they needed to meet with to find their lost loved one, and that only makes it worse for them. So that's what I mean about them failing, and then the ramifications so that things get worse, because this is how people learn. They fail, things get worse, the stakes get higher, and they have no choice but to grow and change. But it can't be all doom and gloom. That's why number 4 is, how can they succeed? You don't want them to succeed all the time, because again, the failure is what forces them to grow. But little successes give the reader hope and give the character hope. I released a video just recently about glimmer moments versus trigger moments. And in a novel, these are the moments when the character has hope that things can get better. So if you look at, say, The Notebook, every time we come back to the present day with the elderly couple, the viewer has hope that this is going to work out for the couple that the movie is focusing on. Write down 3 places where your character could have moments of hope. It could be something as simple as laughing with another character, just like in Shrek, when he bonds with Donkey and when he bonds with Princess Fiona. That gives him hope for his future as a human ogre. Those are the glimmer moments that teach Shrek that it's safe to love other people and that give the viewer a peek of what Shrek's life could be if only he gets past his stubborn little heart. Number 5 is a big one. It's one of the things that I love the most to come up with for my characters. I want you to make a list of 6 weaknesses that your character has. In other words, what weaknesses does this character have that will cause them problems? You look at, say, Deadpool, right? He shoots his mouth off. That causes problems. That ticks people off. That puts him into trouble over and over and over again. What weaknesses do these characters have? Whether it's impulsiveness or stubbornness or talkativeness or perfectionism or any of a number of weaknesses that we all have. What 6 weaknesses does your character have? And list 3 ways that those weaknesses are going to get them into trouble, because that goes along with number 6. Number 6 is the opposite. I want you to make a list of 6 skills and strengths that will save them in the end. These are their natural skills and strengths, whether that's their intellect, intellect, their ability to think on their feet, their bravery, whatever that happens to be. Those are the skills and strengths that will save them in the end. Here's the Cliff Notes version for you. Their weaknesses get them into trouble over and over again, and their skills and strengths save them in the end. Let's go back to the Shrek example. Shrek's weakness is his temper, the way he shuts people out, the way he pretends he doesn't need anybody, and so he doesn't get vulnerable. That's a weakness with him, because when he has that moment where he could tell Fiona how he feels about her, he doesn't. But his skills and strength are his loyalty and his bravery. And in the end, when it comes time to go to the church and break in and tell her how he feels, he does it because those skills and strengths save the day in the end. They also save him and all of the other fairy tale creatures. So make a list of 6 skills and strengths that your character has and 3 opportunities where those could come into play. Now, the last one is the fun one. Number 7, I want you to think about, how can I twist this ending? Nobody wants to read a predictable book, so how can you make it unpredictable? What's the best way to do this? Make a list. Make a list of 6 possible endings and make sure that they're all different so that you can come up with something super outlandish and maybe you're never going to use it, but just let your creativity run with this. And also look at the endings that you have seen that had an unexpected twist at the end. For instance, the series finale of How I Met Your Mother. That was a twist I don't think anybody saw coming. Season 2 of You had a surprise ending. Seasons 1 and 2 of Dead to Me also had surprise endings. That particular show had lots of surprises and twists all throughout every single episode. And what did that do? That kept you hooked, kept you coming back, kept them renewing the series. When you start with your ending, you kind of have a vision for your book and you know where to go with it. And if you do this exercise and fill out all of those answers, you'll have a big chunk of the structure of the book already figured out. And what does that give you? A framework. And when you have a framework, all you got to do is fill in the blanks. That makes it a lot easier to navigate the 200, 300, 400 pages that you're going to write. So try that out and let me know in the comments how that worked out. And don't forget to subscribe because we're going to have lots more videos just like this one. In the meantime, I'll see you on the other side of the page.